Welcome everybody to my Mysteries and Fun channel. We have a special guest here. We have a host of Strange Basin podcast on Spotify. Welcome, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well.
Hanging out here in the Strange Basin.
Yeah, sounds cool.
Pretty much everybody knows about the Unitah Basin these days.
Yeah, especially with the Skinwalker Ranch show airing, that makes it more famous, plus the Blind Fog Ranch show as well.
Yeah, which one's your favorite?
And you have turkeys as well in the background?
Yeah, he's hanging out back here. He's
Yeah.
kind of like my best friend. He waits around
Cool.
for me when I'm not around.
Mm-hmm.
So
if
it gets annoying, let me know.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you started the podcast, and how you started collecting stories and all that?
All right. What I did is right out of high school, I grew up in Salt Lake, big city for me. Found myself very much not wanting to be in the city anymore because I grew up in kind of like a small town outside of the city, and then the city grew up into where I lived, and I basically said I had to scoot and get out of there. And I found Vernal of all places, and so I moved out here. And almost immediately got thrown into the strange. I've talked a little bit out of a couple of my shows, but the first person I met there, he showed me a tablet that was taken from one of the caves up Dry Fork Canyon, which is just miles away from where I live now. That had Mayan writing on it and Mayan carvings on it, and it looked like it came right out of South America. And I really didn't believe him to start. And then he hooked me up with a guy named Mick Norton, and we got to be famous friends and prospecting buddies, and we tromped all over the hills chasing every strange story and old lost gold stories and trying to prove that the Spanish were actually here at the time in the 1700s and long before this was ever settled, and out looking for old petroglyphs and things that would just fascinate the heck out of most everybody, I think.
Yeah.
And so I spent the last 30 years just running around the basin here and always knew about the Skinwalker Ranch and kind of just left that to the weird people down there and just stayed up in the high hills here.
Yeah.
And found myself working in the oil field, so that was great because I got to explore the whole basin here in very deeper ways than most people get to just on a recreation basis. I was doing it every day.
Wow, that sounds fun.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Now I'm just a full-time artist and sculptor, and my kids growing up and moved out and found myself wanting to get back into the really weird stuff again now that I wasn't so focused on making a big giant living and raising kids.
Yeah.
So here I am.
Awesome.
And I got talking about it and went and hit up the radio station and said, hey, you want to start a Strange Basin show? And they said, heck yeah. So Charlie, my co-host, he owns the station, and we just talk to all sorts of interesting people and share stories and try to get to the root of what's going on here.
Yeah.
It's a big ask, though.
It's a pretty weird area of all kinds of stories, strange things that are happening, all kinds of stuff.
Well, I found myself interesting to listen to as well, so that was strange in itself.
Yeah. So when did you start the radio pocket? Have you been doing it for 30 years now, or?
No, just started it this year. We just recorded show number 13. And we air it live on Sundays here locally, but then right then we put it on Spotify as well, and it's been catching on like super quick and super fast. A lot of people are interested in what's going on around here.
Okay, wow. So did you want to share some of the strange stories that you've collected over time that I'm sure people would like to hear?
I sure would.
Okay.
Anything in particular you have interest in? Because it's such a wide thing. I mean, we started out with Bigfoots, and then we went into aliens and orbs, and of course we talk about skinwalkers. There's so much more, and with the lost gold stories and the Spanish being here, and kind of a history that's not allowed in the books that I've seen plenty of evidence of myself. So
Yeah. Do you think there's Bigfoot down where you are in the Unitah Basin?
I've not seen Bigfoot myself, but I know that I've walked next to one several times. You get
Right
that
there?
feeling of being watched,
Yeah, I
and
know the feeling. Yeah.
and you just get that feeling. And I've had that so many times in different places around here, and I've
Yeah.
talked to so many people. We interviewed Daryl Wilson, who spent like the last 40 years or something interviewing, and he's got thousands upon thousands of stories of people that have seen Bigfoot and had Bigfoot experiences. And I've interviewed several of them just for the show.
Wow.
That Bigfoot's here. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
No,
A lot of
Bigfoot's definitely here in Connecticut. I started experiencing strange stuff when we had our encounters here in our home. Both when I was younger, paranormal stuff, and when I was older, we started having some weird activity. We later found out it could have been a Bigfoot walking around our property. We never know. So that's how I started. So,
wow.
yep.
How did it feel for you when you felt them or saw them?
Um, I felt like being watched. I felt very uncomfortable for a while. Like, what's going on here? And I mean, my dad was pretty freaked out. His first encounter. He works third shift, so he was walking to his car one night, and suddenly he heard these big, large, like two large feet, like stomp, stomp, and in the front area of our backyard, and that completely flipped him out. And he was normally he's calm and cool. He doesn't let anything startle him as badly, but this situation really startled him. He like went into his car and ran out of the driveway. He immediately called us up and said, "Don't go outside. Don't go outside. There's a Bigfoot outside." Like we're like, "What?" No, yeah,
That's
that was
hard to hear, isn't it? There's a Bigfoot outside.
yeah, yeah. There's like
There
that
was a
first thing you remember, like don't go outside. Don't let Miriam go outside. There's a Bigfoot outside. Okay, that was the first encounter we've had. Then later on, I think it was a couple nights later, mom and I heard like walking around our house, what sounded like something was walking around the house and tapping on the door of the front door, and we didn't couldn't see or understand what was doing that and what was wrong. Coyotes don't do that. It
no.
sounded like and a bipedal person walking around the house, and who's walking at like late at night like that? No, we're like way out in the woods. Nobody's gonna be doing that. Everybody's asleep most of the time at that hour.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy.
There's a
Anyways, yep. You want to
there
share some?
there is a place just right up Dry Fork Canyon. It's one of my favorite places on the planet. Is in
Uh
Dry
huh.
Fork, and we were hiking along and looking for maybe what could be an old mine site
Mm-hmm.
out by there. Maybe Spanish, maybe not, but definitely an old mine site. And we walked into this grove, and it just got silent. No wind, no bugs, no creatures crawling around anywhere. Just completely silent. The only sound we could hear was just us walking around, and it was so quiet that we even were almost whispering to each other, if not whispering, and just a completely different feeling. And walk in and out of it. It was such strangest little vortex of just quiet energies. I've heard that has to do with Bigfoot sometimes or not.
Yeah, yeah, I believe so. People have mentioned that it's everything goes quiet when something a cryptid's around, like either Bigfoot or whatever creature is around in that area. Linda asked in the chat, where are you located in Utah, or how far are you from Blind Fog Ranch or Skinwalker Ranch?
I'm 20 minutes away from Skinwalker Ranch. I do spend
Oh,
quite a bit of time at the Space Wolf Research Ranch. Since
mhm.
I had Ryan Burns on the show, we've gotten to be quite famous friends and been invited back several times to go there. So I can be there in about 20 minutes, and then
Wow.
over to Blind Frog Ranch, just kind of over the hill here,
Yeah.
and that's only about 15 minutes away from here, 20. So
Also, Blind Fog Ranch is a little closer for you.
it is. It just
Yeah.
feels like it's just right over the hill, and it's always been one of my favorite places.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
cool.
it's located in Pole Creek, Farm Creek area, and
Hmm.
that's always been one of my main areas that I've always looked for for the old mine. It's kind of an old sacred mine. If you want to talk about the Mormons settling, and then the Mormons came out here. Um, the old legend is that Brigham Young, the prophet of the Mormon Church at the time, made a deal with Chief Wakera to take gold from an old sacred mine. And so one of our big legends is this Karashinope mine that's out here, and where it could be, nobody really knows anymore because only one person was able to go there and bring gold back to the church.
Yeah.
And they say the angel Moroni on top of the Salt Lake Temple was made from the Spanish gold.
Oh, that's interesting.
Or if you get into the blind frog theories of it being Aztec gold, it very much could be that as well.
Interesting. Wow. So what do you think is going on at Blind Frog Ranch or the Unitah Basin? Do you think it's something supernatural going on or something physical? What do you think?
I'm working on quite the theory, actually. So we have the Fremont that we're here, and that's a name that we've given them. The academics have given them. We actually don't know what they called themselves. A lot like the Anasazi, if you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
They left all of our great petroglyphs that are around here at McConkey Ranch, which is just maybe 5 miles up the road from me here. World famous. Smithsonian came out and documented all of them, and they're highly unique, and they're actually called the vernal style of the Fremont writings.
Wow.
Amazing petroglyphs. One of the top places to go as a tourist around here. What do I think? They disappeared. Nobody really knows where they went. Did they move away? Did they assimilate into other tribes? Did they die off? Did they walk through a portal into another dimension? And they're still kind of here.
In some of the petroglyphs, you notice that what looks like a portal or something that something falls out of. I went to a tour that James Keenan did at Phenomicon. He did one last year at Dinosaur Monument, and even at McConkey Ranch and Dinosaur Monument, there's always portals or something what looks like something falling out of that circle. So what to make of that, I don't know. It seems
really,
it seems really beautiful and interesting at the same time. I'm doing it again this year. I'm excited.
Well, I'd be happy to meet you and maybe show you some of my less known places.
Okay, cool.
Just a mile or two up the road, there's a real special spot to me. I call it Petroglyph Pillar. There are several people that are very aware of it, but several times I've walked through portals. Even just this spring, I drove through a portal. And
really?
The road changed right in front of me from well-traveled to barely a 2-track.
Oh, wow.
And it's happened to me over and over. It's a high place.
That's crazy. Wow.
And not even really recognizing it. I've changed seasons while I was up there and changed a little bit of time. The sun changes and
Do you have missing time at times?
I don't think I've ever had missing time, but I definitely have changed time. To I don't know how long ago or what, but like the sky would change colors and it would be later in the evening.
Wow.
But when I leave, I don't think I've lost time anyway. But
so like really you're crossing. Place. Wow. It's like you're crossing over into a paradigm or something. Like wow, that's crazy.
Just shifts. It just really just shifts, and it's a strange feeling to be there. And then when you see like fireflies, you live back east. You've seen fireflies. I've never seen actual fireflies here, but just this spring, I was sitting there watching the lights just flash in front of me and coming closer to me, and kind of gave me an uneasy feeling in some way, but not threatening. But wow, these little firefly lights are just coming in and around me, and that's also there at the Petroglyph Pillar area.
Yeah, are they like orbs or something? Or?
It would have to be like tiny orbs, like a firefly orb. But fireflies flash, and they would just stay on and just be there, and then turn off. Very different than fireflies. I work back east in West Virginia and was enamored by fireflies. So
wow, yeah.
So I have seen them. I do know what they look like for real.
We have little ones, yeah, at Connecticut.
Yeah, And the only reason I really called them fireflies is because it's the only thing they're really liking them to. They were very different. I'm just glad it wasn't the little people.
Oh, jeez, yeah. Yeah, I've heard of the little people. I love weird stories that's happened with little people. I think people have disappeared as a result of those things. Maybe. What do you think?
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I got a healthy respect for them. Usually don't even like bringing up that subject.
There's little people there too.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I've seen structures. I've definitely
I'll
come
have you.
across what could be them.
Yeah. Tom asks in the chat, "What's the most convincing piece of physical evidence you have discovered?"
Of I don't have a whole lot to like produce. We talk a lot about it on the show when you get into these situations. Kind of the last thing in your mind is to pull out the phone, and I even have now. I have the night cameras and IR cameras and all of that, and I still don't get any recordings of anything because it just doesn't. I don't know why. So I might be the worst evidence kind of guy, but you know, you can listen to me and you can feel what I see and what I do, and I think it is. As far as the Spanish go, I do have a small sculpture that was found in deep in a cave in a burlap sack, and you can tell it'd been there a lot of years. It's eroded out very well, and I'll be bringing it with me to the Moon Lake during this year, so I'm really excited about that. That to me was proof, and also in the same cave there were some smelter bowls that you could tell that they'd poured, their ore into and poured off the gold and the silver and whatever else was in there. There were precious metals in there and a lot of slag.
Wow.
Back in there with us, but it's a small sculpture of a Spanish child. It looks like with a goat, and one side of it's pristine, and the other side that was face up is just pitted and eroded away. But you can still make out very much that it is Spanish and it's old.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Well, I read a story on your page about a ghost miner from a town called Rainbow. Did you want to elaborate a little bit for those who don't know the story about the ghost?
Yeah, we could go as far down that hole as you want.
Okay.
So, gilsonite was discovered out here in the Unitah Basin, which is another one of those weird things that only happen here. It's found in Russia, it's found in Australia, and it's found in the Unitah Basin here in Utah. It's almost like coal. Mr. Gilson, who discovered it, thought it was coal, put it on the fire to melt it into a tar, and about burned down his whole camp because it catches on fire and it just runs out like tar.
Wow.
It's still used in a lot and it's still mined today. But the interesting is it comes in seams and shafts, or not shafts, but when they dig it out, it becomes a shaft. But if you look on my page, you'll see the pictures of the mine.
Yep.
And it's anywhere between an inch wide on out to about 20, 25 feet wide, and then it'll go down as deep as 2,500 feet deep in the earth. So you get these just cuts that go deep into the earth, and they put timber that goes from side to side, and they just keep going. Well, the old story with the miner in Rainbow. Oh, going back a little more. So then out of Colorado, they started building a railroad, and the railroad was supposed to make it to Vernal. And every time they'd get to a mining camp or where they do it, a town would pop up, and then the railroad would move a little further, and that town would die, and a new town would pop up. So we got about 6 ghost towns out south of town here.
Wow. Okay.
And they would pick up the whole town and move it as well. So there's no standing buildings out there, just foundations and a few of the pit houses or their root cellars that are still there, and a lot of trash. But the housing and everything would be picked up and moved, and actually ended up in Bonanza, Utah, which is still there.
Wow, that's cool.
And so we had a lot of miners out there, and big towns. They had schools out there and everything. So there's a town of Rainbow, and the old story says that the miner went in and never came out, and which is hard to do in
Mhm.
these mines because they only go one way. They don't shoot off into different shafts. It's just that big trench almost that goes into the earth, and so it'd be really hard to lose somebody.
Yeah. And he never
And
came back at all.
never came out. And there's been a lot of reports of seeing him out there standing there.
Hmm.
Even one of my pictures looks like there could be a shadow figure there. You zoom in real close, and it doesn't look like it anymore. But when I took the picture, I sure thought maybe that was him.
Oh wow. So that
That's
nobody knows what really happened to him. Did he like walk into like another dimension? Did he die or something? Oh, that's a really strange story.
but yeah, they're all theories, but who knows? Who knows what happened to it?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe he took off and went to Mac, Colorado with his other girlfriend. Who knows?
Just faked his death or something. I don't know.
Could be, could be. But man, there's been a lot of reports of seeing a miner out there just with a headlamp and sometimes with a shovel.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, you want to share some other stories that from the Unitah Basin?
Yeah. So the thing that I find myself feeling and knowing the most is there's watchers out here. You know, I go through the portals. I go through time. I've been in vortexes that are amazing out north of the Blind Frog Ranch. There's a place where I know I came off the ground. Um, but I find myself really just feeling that there are watchers here in the basin.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
so I've started wondering maybe if it is the Fremont as they came out and went back in and they've just kind of found another way of living that we don't know about yet. And they're still here, very interested in the Uinta Basin.
Yeah. Do you think
They're,
has some, Do you think maybe these watchers might be in the petroglyphs that were written on the rocks?
they could be. They
Yeah.
could be. There's definitely up above. I've been invited to walk around the Conkey Ranch above off the trails that are allowed by the family members,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a whole different feeling up and above, and there are watchers around. There are watchers, and that is just kind of my gut feeling is that it just could be the Fremont. They
Yeah.
found their new way.
Wow. That's wow. Well, any other sightings that maybe people have reported, like maybe UFOs or any close by, or any strange cryptids that have
There's
been documented?
plenty of that. Plenty of that. Uh, just this Sunday, and it's now on Spotify. But we had a experience out at the Space Wolf Ranch, which abuts the Skinwalker Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
They share a fence line, and man, I was standing there and I was talking to Heidi Gadd and Eric Mitchell, and just over my left shoulder there was a big. It looked as big as the moon on a big full moon night, just shining down on me, and it caught my attention, and I looked up. And about the time I started saying, guys, there's that right there, and then it just turned off, and it was as bright as a spotlight without the light coming down. It really just looked like the moon appeared and then went away. That was something just for me that I got to see. It
Oh
was
wow, that's cool. Wow.
very,
What
very.
do you think? There's something like a base underground somewhere. That's why there's all this strange activity going on in the Unitah Basin. Like, what is your opinion on that? Like, you think maybe there might be another Area 51 that maybe the government's not telling us?
A long time ago, heading out towards the ghost mines or the ghost towns, the ghost mines of Rainbow, Watson, and Dragon, and those cool areas.
Yeah.
You go out that way, and about where you turn to go east to go to the towns. If you go down the road just a little bit further, there's a big gate over the fence or gate over the road. Just the road's closed from there on out, and have yet to figure out why that road is closed. I've heard old rumors about an oil field accident that happened out there that made the ground unsafe to walk around and anything. But a really good friend of mine was out there mountain biking, and a couple guys came and told him to leave. And so I kind of wonder if there's an area 52 or 52 and a half out there, you know.
Makes you
But
wonder if there is something going on underground, because there's a lot of stuff, especially on the Skinwalker Ranch show. Their data is showing stuff underground. It's below ground. Like, what is going on with this?
yeah,
Really weird stuff.
and Jessica Blunt, who I've also interviewed on the show, her husband is the one that was the driller that on the Skinwalker Ranch show,
Mm-hmm.
and he says up and down that he hit something and he hit something hard. There's something underneath that mesa. Um, they got the metal shavings out, but you know when you talk to the actual driller, because I was a driller on an oil rig, you know
Mm-hmm.
what you're into and what you're driving into and what you're drilling in and what you're not drilling, and so it makes it
Yeah,
very interesting.
just makes you wonder, why is their equipment failing? Why are they being stopped? What is causing them to do that?
Now, and
Something's
then in
something's
between
stopping them.
in between here and the Skinwalker Ranch, we have a really cool recreation place called McCoy Flats, and God, we just had a dead man race that they ran for 96 hours straight or something
Oh
like
man.
that in the heat.
Wow.
But right there's some survey markers in the ground on a big concrete slab in the ground, and it says NASA geo data spot.
Wow.
And so I've started researching in why NASA would have been here and what they're looking at and things like that. And it's also tied into the recent Blind Frog Ranch show,
Mm-hmm.
where they've been researching kind of the same thing that I've been looking at for quite some time. And basically, there are pictures of a government setup there, and they were watching it with UV and fluorescence and all kinds of EM detectors and things like that. And so you start wondering if they're monitoring not just the Earth but the sky as well. In 2024, the Congress just did the big let's talk about UAPs in a real way. Let's get to
The
the truth. Let's
disclosure. Yeah.
yeah, the big disclosure. And they kept talking about immaculate constellation. And I can't really know exactly what that is because they won't release it to us, but I know a constellation in military terms comes out to uh, an array of sensors that all work together to create a field of watching that. And if you throw the word immaculate in front of it, then it becomes perfect, like a perfect Skynet. Well, that's the wrong word these days with AI, but
Yeah.
profit. Uh,
Terminator.
yeah, we don't want to get into that.
We don't want that. Nope.
No, the immaculate constellation of just being able to monitor all of our skies and our Earth in ways that will tell us things that we can't see. You know, much like infrared lighting does, and our EM detectors, and the tools that we use as investigators. The government's doing that in a big way.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of monitoring stations for the oil field that use this same technology, and so maybe it's moved off in McCoy Flats there, and now they're putting it in there. And it's to monitor our air quality. We're in the middle of the oil field because we have a lot of old well sites and new well sites. We're drilling more and we're fracking, and so they want to make sure our environment here is good. But they're using technologies that would also, you know, if something flew across our skies, these technologies would know it. And so I'm starting to really think that immaculate constellation is a network of monitoring our skies and our Earth to capture these perfect images that they've talked about in the Congress hearing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To and they have the proof, and we just need to get out there like we're doing right now,
Yeah.
and just demand the truth because that's what we want.
Is there a particular area that you really like researching or going to for any high strangeness going on?
For me, it's everything north of Blind Frog Ranch,
Yeah.
the whole Paradise uh, Dry Fork Drainage Basin. It all starts at Dead Man Lake,
Mm-hmm.
and in a 1909 map, there was a dead man's cabin on the map up there. So I haven't found the whole story on that one. I'm still researching, but if I do, I'll let you all know.
Okay, cool. It makes you wonder, why is it called Dead Man Cabin? Like, what happened there?
Yeah. Did they just come up there and find the old guy dead in his rocking chair? Or I don't know. I want to
Maybe.
know that story.
Wow, that's crazy. Tom asks, is there any particular time of the year when things are more active than others? And if so, why do you think that is?
I think we get a lot more sightings and a lot more reportings in the summer, but that's because people are out there more. It gets pretty cold here, and so we do a lot of hibernating in the winter.
Yeah.
But I do think it's year round. I really do. I don't think there's a hot time in at all. I think it's all the time.
Yeah. Do you think there's like more activity in the winter as well when there's less people around?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so. I just don't think there's enough people out there to record it as well.
Yeah. So I know it gets pretty freezing over there. The temperatures get below zero.
So let me know if the chickens get to be too
That's
much.
right. So yeah, they sound like they have a good conversation going on back there.
Yeah. Well, I got two roosters. It gets dramatic.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's fun. That sounds fun back there.
Yeah, I love it here.
Yeah. I
I
noticed.
truly have traveled the whole world, and this is where I choose to live out of everywhere I've been.
Yeah. Because it sounds like a pretty interesting spot.
It is, and the more that I've been diving into it and been committed to the show and bringing out more of the truths and getting people to talk that really haven't before, um, it's getting more intense. I'll tell you that. You know
Oh, really?
that
Is there like more stories you're hearing, more each year?
more personal experiences for me. Just I think when you open your eyes to it and be willing to see it, I think it happens more. I really do.
Yeah.
It's been a wild summer so far.
Oh, yeah? Wow. Yeah, I've had a weird encounter. I know a few other people have. Like at Phenomicon, every year they do a what's called a perimeter Skinwalker Ranch tour. Like you can go to the gate, and then they'll take you around the other side where just the perimeter of Skinwalker Ranch, and with Dragon and Thomas. Well, this one particular time we came back, and I'm sure some of you guys have heard this story, yet some of you not. This was pretty strange and scary at the same time. The driver of the bus took a wrong turn. There's two buses, and the other bus, for some reason, they have two radios communicating with each other. So if one's going the wrong way, they'll be like, "Hey, you're going the wrong way. Like, go this way." Like, I guess for some reason her walkie wasn't working, and she ended up going onto a road, kind of like an oil road that's kind of bumpy and kind of creepy at nighttime. So we ended up going the wrong way, and we ended up driving through. Ended up having to drive through Roosevelt. So during that time, between that time, we heard something big, like hit hit behind the like fall off behind the bus, something really big and huge. We didn't understand what happened, but then suddenly we saw this car go around, like go by us, and he was like frantically waving the driver down to try to pull us over. He looked freaked out. So whatever he saw, he was freaked out. So we pulled over, and the driver went around the bus, and she couldn't see or anything. What happened? What came off the bus? It sounded like something big came off. I don't know what happened. Anyway, we went back, and we finally were able to make it back to the conference center, and that was pretty. Everybody was pretty tired and shook up. I talked to the driver, the bus driver, the next day, and she said she had been working as a bus driver for 12 years, and she's never had that happen to her. She was pretty shook up and scared. And she's not been on the tour since. She still drives a bus. I saw her next year, but she's not doing the year after that, but she's not doing the tours anymore. She was pretty
Like
shook up.
that was enough. Like
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
a very
I
very
thought she
good
was
friend of
like
mine was
a
driving a
driver.
water truck out on that same road there
Mm-hmm.
at the Wanset Valley Road, and had the water trucks are big big rigs, basically with a big water tank on the back, and had a strange, tall, Bigfoot-ish, skinwalker-ish. He wasn't sure, but something running on 2 feet next to him, and they were looking at each other almost eye to eye in this big truck.
Wow.
And
On
he
the
said he
back
was
of it?
going, no, right up next to his cab there.
Oh, he was running next to it. Wow.
Yeah, and he said he was going 30, 40 miles an hour, and it was keeping up, and they just kept looking at each other as he's driving along, and
Oh
then it
man.
veered off to the left and went off the road, and he just kept on going.
Wow.
And
That-
working in the oil field, I I was trying to weld on a location there on
Mhm.
one of the pipes that go way down in the ground. It's always funny they say don't dig, but the area is surrounded by these well sites where they dig deep.
Yeah, there's fracking there going on too. I'm wondering if the fracking causes any of this activity as well. Makes
It
you.
might aggravate it, that's for sure. I mean, I understand fracking really well. It's not the big bad scary thing that they want to make it out to be, but at the same time, we're getting down there and we're fracturing large zones of the earth deep down.
Mm, yeah. Makes you
Yeah,
wonder. Yeah.
we call Earth Mother, but we sure take advantage of it. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
But I was trying to weld on this wellhead, and I could I could strike my arc on the grounding rod or on the grounding wire, but I couldn't get my arc, and I couldn't start a weld on this for hours. It was making everybody upset, especially me, and I was very frustrated because I could weld on my truck, I could weld next to it, but as soon as I started to weld on the casing and went in the ground, it wouldn't weld. It still can't answer it. And then about an hour and a half, I'd say about an hour and a half later, it started welding and I got it done. But what was stopping me, I couldn't even begin to tell you.
Wow.
One of those weird ones. But that was, I could see I could see the ranch from where I was working there.
Oh wow. Well, that explains it.
Yeah. And then I had a friend. I didn't. He was on a different rig at the same company, but they drilled one right on the fence line down there, and they said they've never had more things go wrong on a rig ever. And it was supposed to take 3 weeks, and it took them 3 months to drill that well because everything on it would break. Generators would go down, motors would break, pumps would break, downhole problems especially. So there's something to it, I got to tell you.
Something's going on. Yep. Kelly asks, "Have you seen any wolves of any size out there?"
Thank you. I was actually thinking about that driving here to get ready to come talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, long before the government has said there are wolves here, and they're still saying they're very up far to the north and the east of us. Not here in the lower Uinta Basin or the High Step Desert where we're at. They still haven't seen it, but again, Dry Fork Canyon. I was walking along and I saw what I know to be a wolf up there, and it wasn't running away from me. It wasn't coming towards me or anything, but it was just kind of loping along on there until it just went out of sight. Um, but it was big. It was bigger than any wolf I've seen
Mm-hmm.
in captivity or in the wild. But yeah, I would have classified it at the time as a dire wolf for sure.
Really? So it's way bigger than a coyote.
No, definitely, and very different. And our coyotes here in the mountains where I'd seen that, they're very red. We have very
Yeah.
red coyotes in the mountains, and this was just a dark gray, almost black.
Oh
And it
wow.
was big, and I knew for sure it was a wolf, and that was long before they ever said there were any wolves here.
Wow.
That was probably 20 plus years ago. So yes, I have.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, that kind of confirms what the carcass that they found in the river, creek or whatever that was called, in the last year. They had found like in the Skinwalker Ranch show, they found like a what appeared to be a jawbone, and the biologist said it might have been a dire wolf that they found, and they've also found some scat in that area, and whatever it was ate a coyote. So what eats a coyote? It could be a bear. We don't know.
I I you can't even skin a coyote. They're so gross.
Yeah.
They smell. Yeah. I can't think of anything to eat one. The coyotes down by the ranch do act a lot different than other coyotes in the area, even in the desert here, where I've drilled and seen a lot of coyotes, and the
Hmm.
coyotes in the mountains that act very different there. On the Space Wolf Ranch or Space Wolf Research Ranch, the coyotes they crap on the bridge. It's a
Oh.
very very strange thing.
Mm.
Ryan's actually seen them just doing their business right on the bridge. Just very different behavior. I would say they're marking the territory, and this is where we cross water.
Wow.
But a lot of my theories about our strangeness revolve around water because this is a desert, and we have a lot of water here,
Hmm.
but it's been very manipulated and changed and done not good things to, and they're currently doing more. Water's a big deal,
Yeah.
and it's a precious resource,
Mhm.
and I think the more we mess with it, the more we anger the watchers, as I like to call it.
Yeah. Speaking of water, I've heard strange stories that I think it's in Utah that if you go in the water, like something in the water will grab you and you never like pull you under and never get seen again. I don't know if that type of story is in Utah or not. What do you think?
That was the when I first started coming to the Unitah Basin. That was my first, like, other than the gold stories. That was my first, like, out of the norm kind of story. Was the water babies.
Yeah, the water babies.
Well, water babies are a real thing. It is a part of the belief system of the native Utes that live here.
Hmm.
Um, but it's kind of that siren song. If except except for singing to the sailors, it's a young child crying and will lure you into the water and bring you into the water, and you don't come back.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Pretty
It's
strange stuff. Interesting.
we kind of have it all here.
Oh yeah, do you have a smorgasbord? Is there any particular story that you've collected that really stands out? That favorites that you've heard, or if you've interviewed anybody with?
I just shared for maybe a small handful of times on my show, but that I was working in a mine that had been mined out a long time ago, and I believe it's a Spanish mine. And there's a story that goes with it called the Mine of the Lost Souls.
Hmm.
Um, the part of the folklore and the cut and paste story about the skinwalker, the part of it that really is true is that the natives were enslaved and they were made to mine and work for the Spanish that were here. And that is very true. And the short bit of the story is somebody came back in the early 1900s and was here as a child and her father was mining and the Indians came and killed them all and put them all in the mine and lit the mine on fire and then buried it to never be found. Well, the group of guys that I was with, they found this mine, and I believe it to be true. And all the bits of the story and the folklore match the story completely. Me and my partner were in the back of the mine digging it down and found the layer of ash and and all the bits of the story are coming true and exploring that and I as I was digging and filling up the red wagon so we could clear it out of there and go forth, I saw a bone and I picked it up, but for some reason I took my glove off and when I picked it up and as soon as it touched my skin I started crying
Oh man.
and like hysterically crying. Like I've only done that a few times in my life and I was scared and I was concerned and I kept being concerned for my daughter and just scared and I could see fire and I could see screaming or hear screaming and see people running and it wasn't just a feeling, it was terror, and it was visual, and I could see and I could even smell the smoke and the acridness of it,
Oh man.
and I had that fear, and then let go of the bone, and I dropped the bone, and it all went away just as fast as it came.
Oh wow. It's like you
But
had a vision of what might have happened.
yeah, and it was full confirmation to me that the whole story is true, and that mine and that turned into a natural cave. It was every bit of that story,
Uh,
and I still sit and wonder, did I make it up? Did I
mm,
piece in that story? Was I concerned about my daughter because I knew the story, and I can honestly say no. It was too emotional. It was too real. It was too intense. It was too
yeah.
right now. There wasn't a thought. There wasn't me involved. Even I could even say that, and that's kind of the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me. And then this big rough guy that was there, and
Hmm.
he just put his arm around me. And says it's all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Well, it sounds like very real. That what happened to you was real. It was very real.
yeah, yeah. We lost all that, machoism and
Hmm.
all that, and he just put his arm around me and said it's all right. Kind of told him everything about it, and he never doubted me either. So
Yeah.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that's happened to me, though.
Wow. Wow. Is there any other encounters that you'd like to share that maybe you've had personally or whoever has shared with you on your podcast?
Oh shoot, it's so broad. Let's see. Well, oh, I'm blanking out. I'm sorry.
It's
Give me
okay.
some of the. I'm kind of still stuck in that story. I just told you there.
Yeah, yeah. That I'm sure it must have been pretty intense if it still bothers you.
Oh, I've only talked about it a few times, so
Yeah.
just to close people, and then got me telling the story on the radio show, and you, and
Yeah.
that's it. Just a
That
few.
sounds like a real thing that happened to you. So I do believe that happened.
It's a hard one to explain, but there
Yeah.
it is. That's my story.
Yeah.
That's my story. There's a lot here. There's a whole lot
Mhm.
here, and it really is just almost just every little bit of folklore you can put in the Unitah Basin here, and I just think a whole lot of things have helped create it, and just not really aggravate it, because I don't think it's an angry spirit. I don't think it's something to fear, even the skinwalker. There is bad in everything, of course, but I think it's just even more than a high strangeness, it could be a high awareness or a high sensitivity area that just there's something going on. There could be stuff buried. There could be alien ships. There could be asteroids. There, we could go on and on, but that's what I'm after is finding out what it is and what brings us the truth. Maybe we can put a pin on it and say this is it. This is what's creating it all. This is what's giving it to us, and I do think it's a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Betty asks, "Do others?" There we go. Do others with you experience the same things you do, or not?
Most of the time,
Yeah.
most of the time, most of the time, it was very strange when I saw the big orb in the sky that looked like the moon, and I took and looked at the people next to me, and they didn't see it, and we're talking about Heidi Gadd and Eric Mitchell, who are experiencers and pretty well world renowned as UFO people, and they didn't see it. So it's like, wow, how come everybody didn't see it? But usually when I go out hiking and exploring, we all walk away with this same story. So yeah,
Wow. I guess it all depends on who's sensitive to that type of experience or not.
yeah, yeah.
Depends on what frequency you're on.
There's a neat place up in Paradise, up north of Iron Flog Ranch, that I'm trying to figure out the right people to bring to. It's kind of just been my spot, in Nunya Canyon is where I like to say it is, but I'd like to bring the right people there because it's a neat spot, and I don't know what the people that were there were doing. I'd like to put an answer to that one. Either they were logging or mining. I'm not sure,
Mm-hmm.
but I know they had a lot of strife and a lot of trouble, and and I experienced and spoke to the lady that lived there, and she told me, well, not in real people, had a spirit contact and was very much given the feeling that she had to burn down her house to get the men to leave. So
Wow, that's pretty intense.
so I'd like to bring the right people there that can really help me get the more answers and verify what I've felt and the things that
Mm-hmm.
I know. But there's broken machinery all over the place, and one cabin looks to be half built, and the other cabin's just falling in,
Mm-hmm.
and then just north of there, I've been there several times, and kept getting pulled up the hill, kept pulled up the hill, and we'd hike around, and we'd never really go up to the air because it just had
Yeah.
this really strong pull up there, and and then finally my partner Becca and I we went up there one day and walked into a little grove that we both were being drawn to. We talked about it and said, let's just finally track that down, see where we're getting pulled to. And when we walked into that, my feet came off the ground. I know it. I floated off. Now, I mean, the gravity was different there, and Becca just turned right around. And I can't be here, you know.
You
And
were actually like getting off, like coming off the ground,
it
literally.
it sure felt like that. And I looked down, and I wasn't sure if my feet were touching the ground or not. I don't know. I don't know. Gravity felt very different there.
Hmm. Yeah.
And if you draw a line from there, and then you come down to Blind Frog, and then right south of there is Skinwalker Ranch and Bottle Hollow. So we could. I think there's something going on, you know, a lot like the caverns that they're chasing in the Blind Frog Ranch. I think it just continues on down and goes right to Skinwalker Ranch and that whole Wansett Valley there.
Yeah, yeah, that whole area seems to like be affected for some
Yeah,
reason. Mm.
and gravity difference and the hollowness of that whole ridge. Ice Cape Peak is up there. It's got a great energy there as well, and you know, one of the best views in the basin from there. A
Wow.
lot of fun. We could talk for hours.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, we are going to Phenomicon. I'm going to Phenomicon this September. I'm pretty excited. This will be my fourth year going there.
I'm
Will you
glad
be
you
there?
come out.
Yes.
Plan on being there. I didn't get a booth because I started the show after, and I've
Hmm.
actually done a lot of sculptures. I did 10 sculptures for the tourism board who kind of heads that up. And
Yep.
so I went in there and thought I had maybe a little clout to say, hey, can I get in? You know, even though it's a little too late and it's all sold out. And I said, no, it's all sold out. But
Oh man.
hopefully somebody cancels. If somebody cancels, I'll have a booth there, and I'll be
Yeah.
selling my shirts with the original art, and each shirt is a different story from the Uinta Basin. So it's
Oh, that's
gonna
cool.
they're really good. They're almost to print,
Well,
um, but I will be at Phenomicon for
okay.
sure,
Oh,
and I look forward to meeting you.
looking forward to meeting you as well. And I'm sure everyone else who's coming to Phenomicon will be for meeting you as well. And can you tell everyone where they can find you?
Yeah, I do most of my Facebook, most of everything on the Facebook right now. I'm just me trying to keep up with all this crazy and do a radio show. And so I really keep it on the Facebook and then on Spotify. And you can listen to all the shows on Spotify and get caught up. And the main intent of why I do this radio show is to have our own voice here in the Uinta Basin. They got a
Yeah.
little frustrating hearing the stories being told wrong in
Hmm.
such a large way. And so
Yeah.
I'm really trying to get just our own voice and our own folklore out there without the spin on it for whatever reason.
It's good to hear somebody locally what's really going on versus somebody across the country hear, oh, this, and this happened. It's better to hear it from right there in where you guys are living, and we appreciate that.
Well,
And thank
anytime.
you. Yeah,
I'm happy
thank
to
you.
do it.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.
You
And
bet.
We'll see you at Phenomicon. For anybody who's looking forward to Phenomicon, go to phenomicon.net. And there are some 4-day passes that you can get, 1-day, 2-day passes if you are interested in going. And you'll come join us and meet me and meet the Strange Basin podcast host. And if you can't get a booth this year, maybe there's always next year.
Yeah. And also in August, this is a little lesser known, but it's been going on a lot longer. We have the Moonlight Gathering that happens in Duchesne this year.
Okay.
And Duchesne's on the other side of the Skinwalker Ranch from where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
And we get together and we tell all the stories, and it's a lot more personable. It's a lot. It's just more like people hanging out at the Moonlight Gathering, and it's kind of my favorite thing.
Yeah, it sounds like a smaller gallery. I looked at that on the Facebook page. It'd be exciting. If I could, I would be able to go. If I wanted to, I'd go to right there, stay there for the Moonland. What's it called? What's it called?
Moonlight Gathering.
Moonlight Gathering. I'd be going there and then wait till Phenomicon, and then leave right after Phenomicon. That's what I would do if I wanted to, but unfortunately I can't. But I'd love to. Maybe sometime.
Keep dreaming. It might happen next year because I guarantee you'd love it. It really is. You just get around and you just meet more people and you talk more personable. Yeah. It's a lot more face to face, and Moonlight Gathering is amazing.
Oh, sounds amazing. Well, thank you for your time, and thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next time. See you at Phenomicon.
Stay strange.
Bye.